Sayadaw explained that among the Four Noble Truths, the first two truths, dukkha satya, the truth of suffering, and samudaya satya, the truth of origin of suffering, are difficult to be discerned, and thus they are profound. Even though they are difficult to be discerned and thus profound, by removing the opposite mental states, the opposite states such as not knowing, craving, clinging, which are the opposite states that hinder wholesomeness, by removing these opposite states, the truth, dukkha satya and samudaya satya, will be obvious to the yogi. When these opposite states are removed, the mind becomes pure, and dukkha satya, truth of suffering, will become obvious to the yogi, to the person. When the mind is free from the defilements a little, then dukkha satya will be obvious just a little. When the defilements are removed much, dukkha satya will become profound to the person much. In order to discern dukkha satya, truth of suffering, one should note the presently arising object with aim and effort. In order that the noting mind should be very close to the object, one should exert effort. Effort propels the noting mind so that the noting mind will be very near to the object. When the noting mind is very close to the object, one sees the object very clearly. The object is the same, but the way one sees it differs according to the distance, whether the noting mind is distant from the object or whether the noting mind is very close to the object. When the noting mind is very close to the object, one sees the object very clearly. And also, it also depends on the mental strength. If the mental strength is not as good, one does not see the object as clear. If the mental strength are strong, one sees the object clearly. If the mental strength are energized, one sees the object very clearly. So one has to be noting the presently arising object in order to discern dukkha satya, in order to see dukkha satya, truth of suffering, very clearly. In order that the noting mind is concurrent with the object, one should constantly aim one's noting mind towards the object so that the noting mind will be face to face or direct with the object. And also, one should exert ardent effort. By noting the object with aim and effort, the noting mind will stick onto the object and mindfulness develops. It is called upatthana. Mindfulness is firmly established on the object. When there is sustained mindfulness, when mindfulness is steadfastly, firmly established on the object, Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, develops. A single moment of Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, will not be strong, but when Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, arises moment by moment, continuously, then it will become strong. When one has Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, for 1 minute continuously, there will be 60 moments of momentary concentration. In 5 minutes, there will be 300 moments of momentary concentration. In 1 hour, there will be 3,600 moments of momentary concentration. When these momentary concentrations are continuous, without any gaps in between, it will be very strong. And momentary concentration build up momentum, even for longer hours. In order to do so, one should note the object with aim and effort continuously. The noting mind will stick onto the object. The noting mind will fall calm and collected on the object. When Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, becomes strengthened, Samma Sankappa, right application, will also be developed. The noting mind will be aimed towards the object, and one noting mind falls onto dukkha satya, and one discerns dukkha satya. When the noting mind falls on rupa, one discerns materiality, which is dukkha satya. When the noting mind falls on nama, one discerns materiality, which is dukkha satya. At the moment of sitting down from standing position, when one is noting, sitting, at the moment of sitting down, at times the noting mind falls on the series of intention to sit, which is nama, mentality. At times the noting mind falls on rupa, materiality, and one discerns dukkha satya, the truth of suffering, by discerning mentality and materiality. It is in accordance with the Buddha's teaching, dukkha pariññaya, meaning one should discern dukkha satya, the truth of suffering, and it is also in accordance with the Satipatthana practice. When one is discerning dukkha satya by noting the presently arising object, at that moment, lobha, greed, does not arise, and also greed does not arise. Based on the object the yogi is noting, greed does not arise, also on the other objects. In this way, lobha, greed has no chance to arise. Removing lobha, greed, the samudaya satya, the origin of suffering, is also abandoned. So it is in accordance with the teaching, samudaya satya pahatapa, meaning the origin of suffering, which is dhamma, craving, should be abandoned. In this way, discerning dukkha satya, the truth of suffering, one also automatically abandons dhamma, the origin of suffering. When one removes smudaya satya, the origin of suffering, it is not only tanha, it is not only craving that the person removes, but one also removes delusion. Knowing correctly, one also removes not knowing and knowing wrongly. Removing tanha, craving, one also removes upadana, clinging, which is the bigger degree of craving. So when tanha, minor form of craving, is removed, upadana, the greater degree of craving, which is clinging, is also removed. So by discerning dukkha satya, by discerning nama rupa, mind and matter, one also overcomes the wrong view, believing as being soul, atta. If one does not discern mind and matter, one takes it as person, being or soul. But by knowing, by discerning mind and matter, one removes wrong view. When one is mindful at the moment of sitting down, from standing position, noting as sitting, one comes to discern nama, mentality, and also one discerns rupa, materiality. Nama rupana yathavadasana ditti visuddhi nama, meaning when one discerns nama rupa, mind and matter, in the way they really are, one purifies one's view. So purification of the view arises when one discerns mind and matter in the way they really are. So by noting at the moment of sitting, when the mental strength are strong, in the noting one discerns mind and matter, and such kind of knowledge is not like the theoretical knowledge gained through reading or from teachers, but the knowledge gained through practice is direct experiential knowledge by noting the presently arising object, and one discerns nama rupa in the way they really are. It is said yathavadasana, meaning one discerns nama rupa in the way they really are, and thus one develops ditti visuddhi, purification of view. When one purifies one view, one is said to be seeing the first light of sasana, the first stage of sasana. So yogi who purifies the view by discerning mind and matter see the sasana light as the first stage. Before one discerns mind and matter, however one may have faith and confidence in the sasana, just by performing dana and sila, one is not said to be seeing the sasana light. But by discerning nama rupa, mind and matter, one is said to see the first light of sasana. When opposite mental states are removed, the truth will become obvious. Even though the truths are difficult to be discerned and profound, but when one removes the opposite mental states, these truths will become obvious to the person. When one discerns mind and matter, one discerns dukkha satya, truth of suffering. Based on the object that the person discerns, there is no taṇṭa craving. Taṇṭa craving is removed based on the object one discerns, and also taṇṭa craving does not arise based on other objects. In this way, discerning dukkha satya, one also removes taṇṭa craving. Not knowing the truth, there will be craving, clinging. By removing not knowing, by discerning dukkha satya, one removes craving and clinging. In the example, when one sits down, there is nama rupa, mind and matter, which is dukkha satya, truth of suffering. The intention to sit is nama, mentality, and the actual sitting down is rupa, materiality. It is not atta, it is not a living being, it is not a soul, it is not a person, it is not a man or a woman who is sitting, but there is only nama rupa, mentality and materiality at the moment of sitting. Discerning mind and matter by noting sitting at the moment of sitting, it is said that nama rupana yatthava dassana, one discerns mentality and materiality in the way they really are. So at the sitting down process, there is only nama rupa, mentality and materiality that exists. What really is present is nama rupa, mentality and materiality. In order to discern mentality and materiality that are arising at the moment of sitting down, one should observe it, one should be mindful at the moment of sitting down, noting as sitting, sitting. Noting sitting, sitting, it is in accordance with Suttanta way. One has to label it as sitting, sitting. Labeling is paññatti, concept, but in order to concentrate on the sitting down, one should note it with a soft mental label, sitting, sitting. So it's a way of practicing satipatthana meditation. And when one's mental strength is strong, one discerns mind and matter that are present at the moment of sitting down. When one is mindful of sitting down, one discerns mind and matter, and one also removes the opposite mental state. When removing the opposite mental state, the mind will be pure. One discerns mind and matter, and one understands that it is not jiva atta, it is not living soul, it is not a being that is sitting. What really exists is the series of intention to sit, which is nama, mentality, and the actual sitting down, rupa, materiality. At the moment of sitting down, the series of intention to sit is nama, mentality. The actual sitting down is rupa, materiality. It is not atta, it is not jiva atta, it is not a being who sits. So in this way, at the moment of sitting down, one should observe, one should notice in order to discern mind and matter. So one does not have to analyze it in theory, but by being mindful at the moment of sitting down, mind and matter will be discerned automatically. One comes to discern distinctly between mind and matter by noting sitting at the moment of sitting. When one discerns mind and matter, one removes ditthi, wrong view. Discerning mind and matter, one removes ditthi, wrong view, and also other defilements have no chance to arise. Ditthi is removed. Ditthi, wrong view, that has been following throughout the whole life will become weakened when one discerns mind and matter. Discerning mind and matter, ditthi, wrong view, is weakened, but at this stage one has not totally removed it yet. Discerning mind and matter, ditthi, wrong view, is weakened, and by practicing further, yogi develops knowledge stage by stage, and finally, when yogi attains nibbana, which is called apavada, by discerning nibbana, attaining nibbana, by developing past knowledge, one totally removes ditthi, wrong view. So ditthi is totally removed when one realizes nibbana by attaining magga jnana, past knowledge. Discerning nama rupa, mind and matter, one discerns dukkha satya, truth of suffering, one abandons tanha, craving, and thus one is said to abandon samudaya satya, the origin of suffering. If one is not mindful at the moment of arising, one will be losing, one will not make any profit. By being mindful at the moment of arising, one discerns mind and matter, one discerns and develops knowledge, and one is making profit. If one is not mindful at the moment of sitting down, one cannot see the true nature, and one does not discern paramattha, the reality. Paramattha are the ultimate realities that really exist. So they are not imaginary, they are the entity that really exists. By noting the presently arising object, one can discern paramattha, the ultimate reality, and it is atta paccaka, one discerns from one's own direct experience. In order to have atta paccaka, in order to discern through one's direct experience, one has to practice satipatthana meditation. In the example of sitting down, one should be mindful at the moment of sitting down so that one discerns mind and matter. There is a series of intention to sit, which is nama, mentality, and the actual sitting down, which is rupa, materiality. At the beginning of the practice, one does not discern the paramattha, the ultimate reality. It is not possible. So one has to note as a whole, as sitting, by mentally labeling it as sitting. So at the beginning of the practice, one does not discern the paramattha, ultimate reality, because throughout one's life, the shape concept, Sandhana Panyati, shape concept, such as hand, feet, or head, has been covering up the Paramattha. And also manner concept, Akara Panyati, such as sitting, standing, bending, stretching. The Akara Panyati manner concept is covering up the ultimate reality, and thus the Paramattha is not profound as it is hidden by shape concept and manner concept. So one cannot discern the Paramattha at the beginning of the practice. One cannot see the true nature in the beginning. In order to see the true nature, in order to discern Paramattha, one needs to develop knowledge. In order to develop knowledge, it is important that one removes lobha dosa, anger, greed, anger, delusion. In order to remove these defilements, one has to practice systematically. By practicing systematically, the defilements will be removed. And as one knows, sitting, at the moment of sitting, one discerns the Paramattha, the ultimate truth. One discerns the true nature. So when one notes sitting, one should note as a whole, mentally labeling it as sitting. So in the beginning, it is not possible for the yogi to see the Paramattha, to see the ultimate reality itself, but it will be combining with Panyati concept. So Sayadaw gives an example. When one eats a kind of food that has two flavors in it, such as sweet and sour, it is not possible to chew it, the sweet flavor of it alone, or the sour flavor of it alone. But one has to chew the food. At times one knows the sweet taste, at times one knows the sour taste, as both of these flavors are in the food. In the same way, when noting the presently arising object, one should aim the noting mind towards the object. One should exert effort in noting so that the noting will be effective. When one's noting is effective, sati, mindfulness, will develop. The mind will fall calm and collected on the object, and when one's noting mind falls calm and collected on the object, one will come to know the true nature of the object, which is compared to the flavor of food. So in this way, by noting at the moment of arising, one can discern knowledge, knowing, discerning the true nature. When one sees the true nature, then there will be no Panyati concept. But at the beginning of the practice, one should be noting the object by putting a mental label as sitting. This mental label is Panyati concept. So in the beginning, it is not possible for the yogi to be knowing the Paramattha alone, but one should note it with the mental labeling. So do not be confused, do not be thinking that it is not right. So in the beginning, one should note the object with the mental labeling. When Panyati concept is covering up Paramattha, the ultimate truth will not prevail. But when one gains Bhanga-jnana, when one reaches the stage of discerning dissolution of the object, the paññatti concept such as sandhana paññatti, form or shape concept, akara paññatti, manner concept, will no longer be prevalent. At the stage of Bhanga-jnana, tacca paññatti, the labeling or name automatically falls away. At this stage, these paññatti concepts automatically falls away. At this stage of jnana, the objects are arising very fast, and one is discerning the paramattha, the ultimate truth itself, without mixing with concept. So at this stage of practice, form or shape will no longer be prevalent. And it will not be prevalent whether it is sitting or standing or walking, but one discerns the paramattha, ultimate truth itself. So at this stage, the objects are rising very fast that it is impossible to note these objects with mental label. One has to be just one has to be just aware of it without putting mental labeling and noting. In this way, at this stage of Bhanga-jnana, the concept automatically falls away and one is discerning paramattha itself. The noting mind is paramattha, and also the objects are paramattha. So at this stage, it will all be paramattha. And only at this Bhanga-jnana stage, paññatti concept automatically falls away. So these nama-rupa phenomena are arising in pair. And when one is sitting down, one should be noting it with mental labeling, sitting. So when one's noting becomes effective, one discerns mind and matter. One discerns distinctly between mind and matter. When one does not discern, there is delusion, becoming vague and dim about the object. But when one discerns mind and matter, one removes delusion. So Dhamma Samoha, the darkness of delusion, will be dispelled, and one gains Dhamma Vavatana Jnana when one discerns mind and matter distinctly. Dhamma Vavatana means discerning distinctly, clearly, the mind and matter. So discerning mind and matter, moha, delusion, will be dispelled. Knowing wrongly, avidya, ignorance, will also be dispelled when one discerns mind and matter. In this way, one removes avidya, ignorance. Not knowing, one clings. Knowing, one removes clinging. Discerning mind and matter, one also removes craving and clinging. One will no longer crave when one discerns the truth. So in this way, clinging is also removed. There will not be clinging with craving. There will not be clinging with wrong view. So in this way, when one discerns nama rupa, mind and matter, one removes avijja, ignorance, tanha, craving, and upadana, clinging. Discerning mind and matter, avijja, tanha, and upadana are removed, and thus these kilesa come to momentary cessation, and thus it is called the Danga Nirodha. There is momentary cessation of these defilements. In other words, it is also called the Danga Santi. There is momentary peace. So at the moment when one discerns mind and matter, one removes avijja, tanha and upadana, and thus the round of defilements, kilesa vata, comes to cessation momentarily, and thus it is called the Danga Nirodha. One realizes momentary cessation automatically. One does not have to develop it deliberately, but by discerning mind and matter, the round of defilements come to momentary cessation, and thus one automatically develops the Danga Nirodha, momentary cessation. At the moment of noting the object, in order to know the object, one asserts effort. Effort is samavayama, right effort. When one notes the object, when mindfulness is sustained on the object, it will be satipatthana, and this sati is called samasati, right mindfulness. When mindfulness is developed, the noting mind falls calm and collected on the object. Collectedness of mind develops. It is samadhi, sama samadhi, right concentration. In this way, viriya, sati and samadhi, having effort, mindfulness and concentration, one develops samadhi khanda, the samadhi concentration group. When noting the object, one aims one noting mind towards the object. When one becomes skillful in the practice, the mind is automatically aimed to the object. The noting mind is concurrent with the object. There will be samma sankappa, right application. And when one's noting mind falls calm and collected on the object, when the noting is effective, one discerns the true nature. Discerning the true nature, there is samadhi, right knowledge. So in this way, at the moment of noting, when one discerns by noting the object, there will be three factors of samadhi khanda, the concentration group, and the two factors of panya khanda, wisdom group. And also, so these five, the three of the samadhi group and the two of the panya group, make up panchandika magga, the five factors of the path leading to nibbana. So in the course of practice, yogis are keeping their precepts, even though there is nothing to be refrained from. One has the cetana, volition, to refrain from wrongdoings, and thus there will be samma vaca, samma kammanta, and samma ajiva, right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Yogi speaks only things that are true. Yogi perform things that are right, and also there is right livelihood. In this way, the three factors of sila khanda, the morality group, are also present. Combining with the other five, the 8 factors are present at the moment one is noting the object and discerning. So in this way, when one notes the object and discerns the true nature, the 8 factors of the path are present, and it is called Pubbā Bhāga Magga, preliminary path, and it is also called Vipassana Magga and Lokiya Magga, mundane path. So by noting the presently arising object, when one discerns mind and matter, one discerns dukkha satya, the truth of suffering. By discerning dukkha satya, the truth of suffering, when one discerns mind and matter, one also automatically removes craving, and thus one abandons samudaya satya, the origin of suffering. And also, at that moment, one is removing avijja, tanha and ditthi, and thus there is momentary cessation. One realizes nirodha satya, the danga nirodha, one realizes momentary cessation. And also, one develops the 8 factors of the path. So by discerning dukkha satya, one abandons what should be abandoned, one realizes what should be realized, one develops what needs to be developed. In this way, discerning dukkha satya, one abandons, develops, one abandons, realizes and develops. So it is 4 at a blow. So by discerning mind and matter, it will be 4 at a blow. So in order to do this, yogis should be noting the presently arising object. When the yogi fails to note the presently arising object, then the yogi is losing. If the yogi is unmindful for 1 minute, he/she is losing for 60 moments. If he/she is lacking mindfulness for 5 minutes, there will be 300 moments of losing, and in 1 hour there will be 3600 moments of losing. So yogis are encouraged to be mindful continuously apart from sleeping hours. Whatever the object arises, one should be noting it, observing it with mindfulness, so that yogi will not lose. So in this way, Jaraji says, yogis should be continuously noting the presently arising object with aim and effort. Noting thus, the mindfulness will be sustained on the object, the noting mind will fall calm and collected on the object, and one will know the true nature, and one will be developing Pubbā Bhāga Magga, the preliminary path. So may you all be able to practice with aim and effort in order to develop the preliminary path. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.